Have you ever had a nightmare where you humiliate yourself in front of thousands of people, and then you wake up and realize it was just a dream? Well, this is like that, except it's my reality. Let me take you on a journey that is Hustler Casino Live. My name's Brantzen. I'm a professional poker player, content creator, and I got invited to play poker on the biggest stage in the world. Now, there's a lot of pros to this: brand exposure, high stakes, juicy games, but every coin has its other side. The fact that thousands of people are watching inherently changes the game to its core. It introduces factors like ego, fear of making the wrong move, fear of making the wrong fold, fear of being judged, coupled with the fact that these are the biggest games of my life. I hate to say it, but I've crumbled. Let's go through the night. After starting out super card dead, I finally pick up a hand king queen in the big blind. Seth opens to 60 from the button. I 3-bet to $240. He 4-bets and I fold. Pretty standard spot. We're playing this stupid game, which means the last person to win a pot owes everyone a $50 tax. I am one of only 3 people yet to win a pot, so I put on the straddle. It changes me from being the first to act to being the last person to act, giving me a higher chance of winning this pot and avoiding the $400 fee. It folds all the way to Seth in the big blind, who opens to $150. If there was no stupid game, I would just call, but I need to win a hand. I go all in for $2,000. Seth unfortunately has ace king, so he snap calls. We end up running it twice in chop, but I do avoid the $400 tax. Later pick up king queen, 3-bet to 400, take it down. Then I get ace jack, 3-bet again, and am called by Nick from on tilt. Flop comes out king queen 7, 2 diamonds. I go for a standard c-bet of $200 and Nick makes the call. Turn is the 8 of diamonds. Because it brings in the flush, this turn is gonna slow me down a lot. I'm gonna be checking a lot of my kings, queens, so I check with my gutter as well, and Nick checks back. River is another king. Standard move would be to check, probably fold if Nick makes a bet, but here is where the ego comes into play. If I fold on stream and Nick has some random bluff, it looks really bad for the audience. So I opt for the unorthodox play. I bet $400. I'm hoping I can fold out some pocket pairs or avoid a bluff I would inevitably fold to, but Nick makes the call with ace 10. So somehow I managed to get value out of a worse hand, but it still doesn't feel great, because if he was calling with ace 10, then he would definitely be calling with any pocket pair as well. So I simply got lucky. Even though I won, I count that as my first embarrassment, and there are plenty more to come. I pick up ace king of clubs. The casino king opens to $100. I 3-bet to $300 and he makes the call. Heads up to a flop of deuce 3-5. I go for a c-bet of $200. I'm gonna have a lot of the stronger overpairs here, but he raises to $600. Now, I've seen the king make this move a lot. Someone goes for a small c-bet and he puts in the raise with any 2 cards. So I'm thinking ace high might be good here. I also do have position, a gut shot, and a backdoor flush draw, so it's a pretty easy call for me, and the turn is the 4 of clubs. The dream turn. I have the straight, I have a flush draw, and now Casino King continues to bet for $800. Now I have a decision. Do I just call or do I go all in? Against a lot of opponents, I think I'd just shove, charging flush draws, sets, but against Casino King, I feel like he could be making this move with just nothing. So I want to give him a chance to bluff the river, and even if he does have a decent hand and he checks, I'm in position, I can always shove the river then. So I just call. The river is an ace, pretty much the worst river possible. Now I just play the board. We most likely chop. He bets 1,000, I call, and we do indeed chop. So instead of winning a $5,500 pot, we split it in half. Now, I'm actually totally fine about how I played this hand against this specific opponent, but just wait until the next hand. Here we go. I get pocket jacks in the hijack. Under the gun opens to $60. I 3-bet to $180. Llama makes the call on the button. Then Cairo 4-bets to $500 from the small blind. Now I know we're playing a wild game, but still I'm one of the tightest players here, and I 3-bet the under the gun, which means I should have a very strong hand, which means Cairo's 4-betting range should be heavily weighted toward the big pocket pairs and ace king. I have almost 200 big blinds, so I don't just want to shove it all in with jacks and pray, but I can't just fold either, so I call, llama folds, and we're heads up to a flop of 6-4-7. Cairo puts out a blind bet of $500, and I know you might be thinking, a blind bet? What a crazy move, what a psychopath, just jam it in now. But here's the problem. I've played with Cairo a few times, I've seen this blind bet before by him, and the times that I've seen it, he had a huge pocket pair. So it's not a blind bet because he's crazy, it's a blind bet because he's so confident with his hand he can bet on almost any flop anyway. Still, I can't fold yet, so I make the call. The turn is a 6, and this time Cairo checks. He probably would have kept betting with his big pairs, so this would be a good time to just shove, and if he has me beat, he has me beat. But I just check back, and I say to myself, I'm calling any river that isn't an ace or a king, since I weight him heavily toward ace-king right now. And the river is a king. So now, when he bets $1,200, I just feel like I'm beat by his entire 4-betting range. So I fold, and he shows ace-jack. And it's in these moments that you just feel the weight of the entire internet on your shoulders. The judgments, the negativity, the hate, all of it is a huge problem. Whereas I would normally just be playing for me, owning my own mistakes, owning my good plays as well. Now I feel as though I just want to play in a way that won't disappoint the people watching any further. And that's where you get into even bigger problems. So we look at sixes. Greg raises to $80 from the hijack. I make the call from the cutoff to set mine. Then Frankie 3-bets to $280 from the button. Greg makes the call. I'm now getting an alright price to hit a set. I call, and the three of us see a flop of 10-8-4 rainbow. Greg checks, I check. Frankie continues betting. He makes it $450. Greg folds, and it's on me. Now, I called this hand to set mine. Did I hit a set? No, I want to fold, but I start hearing the voices in my head. What if Frankie is just making a c-bet and I fold the best hand again? What kind of crap are they going to be talking about me in the comments section? And this isn't healthy at all. This is not what you should be thinking when you're playing poker, but I don't want to fold and look stupid. So instead of folding, I raise. I mean, I could have pocket 8s or pocket 4s that play it this way, but really I'm just spewing because of the fear of outside opinions, which sucks and is humiliating in itself. Well, Frankie thinks about this decision for a long time, but eventually wises up and realizes he just needs to put it in, which I fold, and I torch $1,200 out of my own ego. Let's get to our next hand. I open ace-9 suited from the hijack, get 3 callers, and we're off to a flop of 9-jack deuce rainbow. In a multi-way pot with middle pair, I don't think betting is the right thing to do, at least not yet, so when the action checks to me, I check and the button checks back. Turn is the 7 of hearts, bringing in a heart draw, action checks to me again, and now I'm actually feeling quite confident my hand is best with second pair, so I put out a half pot bet of $120 and only Cairo makes the call. River is a queen. Cairo says he blind checks to me, and this river is pretty bad. It improves a lot of hands that would call me on the turn. Hands like queen 9, queen 10, queen king, king 10. My hand also is just third pair at this point, so it's best to just check for showdown. I check, and he has king 10 for a rivered straight. Mariano then joins the fray. If you don't know who he is, he's a very popular poker vlogger who plays the highest of high stakes. For him, this game is pretty much peanuts, so I imagine he's going to be playing extremely aggressively and loose. Luckily, I pick up ace-king in early position. I open to $120 over a straddle. Mariano jumps into the mix right away with a 3-bet to $400. This is a pretty easy jam. I go all in, he folds. The very next hand, I pick up ace-jack. I open to $60 since there's no straddle this time, and Mariano again 3-bets, this time to $200. I debate 4-betting again. I think that's the right play against someone as aggressive as Mariano, but I end up just calling. Flop is 10 high, Mariano bets pot, I fold. Then the very next hand again, pocket queens. Finally, I'm picking up some steam. I open to $60. I'm hoping I get 3-bet again, but no, 4 callers. 5 ways to a flop of ace-8-9. With this many people, queens is never good. I check. Frankie bets $160. Casino king calls, and I just get out of the way. In my last playable hand of the night, I pick up ace-5 of diamonds on the button. Seth opened to $60 from the hijack, and ace-5 suited is one of those classic 3-bet bluffing hands. I make it $180. Of course, Mariano comes out of the big blind with a 4-bet to $480 and it folds back to me. Now, against anyone else, I'd just fold, but to Mariano, this money is basically just monopoly money, so, ace-5 might actually be the best hand. 5-bet jamming might actually be the best play here, but I just call in position, and we're off to a flop of deuce-4-8. Mariano goes for a c-bet of $300. I'm in position with a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw. I make the call, and the turn is the 4 of diamonds. He checks, and now this is one of the best turns I could ask to bluff with. It increases my equity with a flush draw. It shouldn't have improved his hand at all. I think there's only one move to do. I go all in for $1,215, and luckily Mariano does fold, but it still doesn't make up for all the bad plays of the session and all the negativity that I have inside of my head. Now, at the end of the night, I ended up booking a loss of $2,000. It's not at all how I wanted it to go. I was so disappointed in myself, and I'm really sorry if I disappointed any one of you guys. I know that sometimes you guys expect me to perform in a certain way or play a certain way, and I really am sorry when I don't live up to that, but I do want you guys to remember that I'm not some great poker player, and I'm really just a guy who is trying his best and pursuing something that he really loves. And I'm really thankful to you guys that you give me a platform and you make it possible for me to even try to pursue this dream. So thank you, and let's keep on that grind.